Hey guys, what's up? My name's Jason, and these are my Vevor diesel heaters. So this is my original one, and this is the one that I just got from the company, and I want to show you guys how you can take this one to end up having it just like this one. So they make a number of different diesel heaters, but this is my favorite kind of style with the enclosure, the tall one, and with this specific screen here. First of all, what you get here is this enclosure. Now inside you're gonna have a tank, and down here in the front is the fan. Along with that, you're gonna get some wires like this that's gonna connect, and they will be open-ended so that you can use them for a bunch of different applications. On this one, I decided to solder it, but for this one, I'm gonna go in a different direction to show you a different option. Along with that, you're gonna get an exhaust pipe, and you're also going to get a muffler along with that. A lot of companies don't do that, but this one actually does. Along with that, you're gonna have an intake filter, and you're gonna have an intake hose. These are gonna connect underneath. You're gonna have this one, which is gonna be your outlet, and that one's gonna connect on the front there. And that's how you're actually going to get it into your tent, your camper, or whatever you're gonna be using. Now, if you have a very short distance for this to go, this will work just fine. And I know this is included just for sort of a, to have a baseline of what you would use, but I would actually recommend getting a much longer one, and I'll talk more about that in the future. This also goes on the front here. You have various clamps, and some stuff will clamp down onto here to keep it from falling, because this will be outside of your vehicle. Now, the reason I switched to these from my Buddy heater is because, one, they're completely self-contained outside the vehicle, so you don't really run the risk of getting any carbon monoxide. Now, I have a test on the Buddy heater. I don't think carbon monoxide really gets in, but just the fact that it takes up space inside of the tent or your camper is sort of annoying in itself. Now I have this one rigged up so it sits on my tire and vents out to the ground and comes out the front and goes up into the tent. Now this is the way that I've chosen to set mine up, but you can really do this however you want. Now I'll show you what I did with this one. This was kind of a rough draft, and I'll show you a little bit more about what I will be doing to this one to make it even better. Now, one thing that does come with these is a wire that kind of just is something that you can customize. Now, a lot of people use these in their campers or their vans or RVs, and they want to keep it kind of generic. So this is how originally I did it, where I took this one and ran it to a 12 volt, and I soldered it on there. Now, since this on the back actually has clamps and you clamp these on here, I figured it might be easier just to go ahead and get this with the clamps and clamp it on so you don't have to solder. It's actually a really nice step for people who don't actually have a soldering gun. Now they're super cheap, and I would recommend getting a soldering gun, but not just for this application. Now this one step here actually saved us a lot of time. Originally I had to solder this one on, which is, can be a little bit of a pain, and then you kind of have to rewrap it. The stuff I used was sticky, and it kind of just made a mess. So being able to do this is a huge time saver, and not all of them come with these clamps here. So that's another reason why I would recommend this one. I've seen online some of them, they are hardwired in. I think this is a much better way to do it. So this right here is going to run underneath, and it will run to the back. One thing that I have done on this one is I just zip tied it into one of these right here. You can zip tie it to that. You can zip tie it to this one right here. You can even go underneath it and zip tie it there. And that way it kind of just is self-contained instead of, flopping around. So when it comes to the exhaust, there's a couple ways that you can do it. You can kind of run it underneath and out the sides. The way that I have it set up, it actually runs beneath this whole thing, and there's plenty of room. So this works perfectly fine. But if you want to run it on the ground, you're kind of a little bit more limited. What I would recommend, if you're running it on the ground, and you can grab some of this right here and wrap it. So if you're on like a grassy area, you don't have an exhaust pipe sitting on something that's flammable. This is pretty cheap and easy to do. I just bought this thinking I was going to use it, but for this setup that I have here, I don't think it's really that necessary. The muffler is really nice. I really like that addition. I have done it without the muffler. I didn't think I needed it. And once I tried it with the muffler, I was completely sold on that. These that come with this, they're gonna clamp on the front here, and that's how you're gonna clamp either this or your other piece. Now, this screws together with a screwdriver, and you take that on and off whenever you go. I would actually recommend getting one that hand does it, so that when you get to camp, you're not taking out a screwdriver every time. And I will link some of those below, but it's a pretty easy upgrade, and I very much recommend that one. So the biggest thing that I recommend as an upgrade is getting this 3-inch pipe here. This is, I believe this is 12 feet. This makes it a lot easier to run this from a distance. So I'll have this down on my tire here, and then I'll run this up to my tent. And I think it is a really good upgrade. Unfolds pretty big, and it packs away pretty nice. I think you guys will really like this upgrade. I definitely recommend that. So now that we have the wires attached, the only thing we're gonna have to do here is to attach this, and obviously we're gonna tighten that down. And then you can really run this wherever you would like. If you're gonna be running this as kind of a general use, and that's pretty much your last step, you're just gonna add some diesel fuel, and you're gonna plug this in and use this how you see fit. So the one downside I will say to the diesel heater over, let's say, a buddy heater is that this whole kind of interface here on pretty much all of them is going to be, you know, sort of not the easiest thing. It's kind of a little bit of a learning curve. So once you kind of figure it out, it's perfectly fine. But if this confuses you, I would check into maybe this one here, which I actually am considering getting. It's just pretty much press it, turn it up, and you're good to go. This one's got, you know, all kinds of priming. It's got different settings, alarms, so you can turn it on and off. But if you want something a little bit simpler, I would definitely check out this one here. So basically what I've done here is gotten this tire stand. This folds down and you can fold it out. Then I've drilled 2 holes on either side to mount this underneath. And then I have drilled 1 big hole in the bottom so that I can take the exhaust out of the bottom. I will link this below. You're gonna have to do some modifications to make this work, but make sure that you get the one that fits on the right size tire. I think this one goes from an 11 to a 13. There is another size, but this is the one you want. It's basically just a step so that you can get on your roof, but we've kind of modified it to fit this application. So just so you guys can get a little bit better visual of what's actually going on here, I lined up and drilled this hole right here by lining it up so that your exhaust will come right out the bottom. This is where the holes are drilled right here by lining it up. I also use one of these, which is a Milwaukee hole dozer. This is a 2 1/8 inch. And I cut a hole in the bottom of this so that I could run the exhaust out of the bottom. Now that is one of the benefits to actually putting this on the tire, is that it just comes out underneath. And then I would actually, after that, use one of these exhaust wraps, wrap the exhaust, and then you can set it underneath. So I did come back with some spray paint in here to make sure that it doesn't rust or anything like that. But yeah, I think it's a pretty clean setup, and I really like the way this looks and is. You can see down here, this is the intake, and that's where it goes up. Super easy install. All you're gonna do is kind of line it up on here so that it's, you know, not gonna hit your tire, and also so it's kind of sitting on there nicely. Line it up, draw your holes out, mark those, drill those, and then once you've kind of gotten that lined up, you'll drill this bottom hole down here. And yeah, then you just attach it like that. Super easy setup, and it folds away really nicely, so you can kind of put it in your vehicle like this. And compact, mobile, easy to use.